Alright, I don't know the name of what this is called. Right now, I'll look it up and hopefully the title of the video is the actual name. I'm not sure, so I apologize if it's not the right name. I have no idea. I just saw how that this was possible to do a while ago, and I remembered it because I wanted to try knitting another blanket out of squares, but without having to sew it together because I'm terrible at sewing it together and it takes a long time. So I was curious if I would be able to figure out how to do this, and I just thought it looked cool. I wish I remembered where I saw it from, but I have no clue. It was so long ago. But I've been working on this for a bit, so I've kind of gotten the, handle on how to do this. It is one of those blankets, so it looks really cool, and this thing is so soft. But you have this stitch going this way, and then you have it going, across this way. But technically this is all one piece, which is lovely. Like, I won't have to sew it together when it's done because it already is. This is the back, so you can see the seam and stuff. It's kind of raised like that, but it's nothing like annoying. But it is noticeable. So if that's going to bother you, I would still recommend maybe sewing it together because that's going to be a flush seam. But it doesn't bother me. I think it looks cool and it's worth it because it makes life so much easier. And it's, turning the stitch thingy back and forth looks really, really cool. But to start it, when you're ready to get your next thing on, whether you're starting on just 2 squares like this is your first time going to the side, or if you have a corner piece, I'm going to show you it both in one. If you have just the, if you're just going like these two that are connected right here, if you're just going that way, you're going to ignore the part where it's connecting at the other side, because obviously you don't need that quite yet. But I'm going to show it anyway because I figure that's kind of a pain in the butt to figure out at the start. This is so much easier than I ever thought it would be, honestly. I don't know if I'm doing it correctly, but it is so much easier than I thought it would be. You don't want to, when you're starting it, you don't want to start it on the end that you just finished, because the stitch is going to start going the same way. So what you're going to want to do instead of going across the end that you just finished, because that's not going to work the way that you want to if you want the lines to go a different way, is you're going to want to go in this way. You're going to want to put your stitches in this side. It sounds a lot more difficult than it actually is. Also, when you're doing this, my squares right now, this is 50 stitches, like when they're on the needle, it's 50 stitches across. And then it is 46 of the little bumps. It's all stretched out, so it looks really long, but it's 46 of these little bumps because 50 made it a bit of a rectangle. So I have to do less. So you have to figure that out first if you want it to be a square before you do it. Otherwise it's going to be a little bit wonky shaped. It'll work. It'll just be a little bit not square. So you have to figure that out as well before you get going. I figured it out after I got going at it, and the first one I have on here is this white one. And it's a little bit longer than the rest. It's not going to bother me. It's not going to be noticeable. But at the beginning, like, it was just like, yeah, okay, I need to make that a little bit smaller for the other rounds. So you have to figure out what your stitch, length is going to be at the end for it to be a square. And it will affect, how you put things on. But it's still easy, trust me. So what you want to do, once you have all that figured out, the seam side will always be on the, you have to have that flip down if you're adding the second square to it, or when you're just starting. Decide which side you want the seam to be on, so they're all on one side. But when you're putting stitches on, you're going to want that side to be facing down, so that way it will always be on the back. And again, it's just something I figured out accidentally. I didn't realize that was going to happen. It was just pure accident and I lucked out. Then next you're gonna need your yarn. I just kind of am grabbing and putting it on as I am. I just have a little basket with my yarn colors in it and I'm just grabbing it. As long as they don't necessarily line up, it's fine by me. Even if they do, it's not that big of a deal. That's just how I knit. I just grab random things and put them there. Since I have a tail, I am going to do the, I don't know if it has a name, little knot, where I wrap it around and flip it through the little loop and then pull it tight, and this thing doesn't come undone. I forgot scissors again. Gosh darn it. I'll be right back. And then after it's tied and you have your scissors, you just cut the little extras off. And you can go like right up on it. That's why I love this knot. And you can't even tell that it's a new piece of yarn. Also, it doesn't matter if you have that much of a tail on this because it just blends in the end. Don't know if it bothers you, you can always cut the tail shorter. But it doesn't bother me at all. Alright, so I just realized I'm not going to be able to do the edge way because it will be seam up. And I can't go that way, and I don't want the seam to be up on one side, so I'm gonna have to do it the other way that I found. I've had to do this once so far before, where you're gonna need to have a tail thingy at the other end start. So you find either, if you only have one square so far, you start at the corner and the very edge of the piece, or like me, I'm gonna start in the seam, or as close to the seam as I can possibly get, and you stick your needle through the very, very edge, wrap your yarn in half so it'll be a little loop, and then pull it through. So now you have a tail, and don't worry about it, it's not gonna come out once you get stitches on. It just kind of will hang there, and you can pull it tight when you come back around, but don't worry about it, it'll be perfectly fine. But so, I don't know how I'm gonna show this best. But you go in between these bumps, you go in on these sections right here. So you don't go here, you go here. Again, I know it's really, really hard to show, but you go where it's indented down, not lifting up. So you find the next stitch in between the two stitches and wrap your yarn around your needle and pull it through like that. And then you go in again, in between the two up, you go into the down, and wrap it, and then pull it through. You can also probably use a crochet hook for this, if that's easier for you, but the needle seems just fine for me. But again, in between the two, so right here, and then go, I like to do 2 of the edge stitches in the knit, just so, because it seems more secure. And then go through there like that, and then again same thing, just through. And again, if you have, like I do, less rows or bumps, whatever, because I have 46 to 50 stitches, I'm gonna have to add a couple throughout the thing. I have to add 4, so from now on I'm gonna do it at every 10 until I have, get to the end, and then I'll have 50 at the end. Or however many you need, just do that. But yeah, you just go in between the bumps. Hopefully I was able to show that right, or well enough for you, because it's hard to explain, but it's very easy once you get the hang of it. It's way better doing this, in my opinion, than sewing it, because it saves a lot of time, and it's just more fun because you get to have the blanket in your lap and in your hands the entire time. But I'm going to continue on doing this till I have 50, little stitches on my needle. I almost said hook because this is pretty much crocheting. And then I will be back to show you what to do next. Okay, now that I've gotten them all on, and I've counted like 5 million times, this is what it looks like. It's just like normal stitches on your needle. This is the back. It does have the raised seam, like I said. But again, it's a lot more noticeable at this stage than it will be once you start knitting, because it pulls it out. I don't know why that is. It gets less noticeable as you go. I was very, very concerned I did it like completely badly the first time I did it because it was so noticeable. But trust me, it will be less noticeable as you knit. But the first, where's my other needle? There you are. The first row is just like you're knitting, excuse me, Mr. Tail, I don't want you. You're just like knitting a normal, knitting row, like garter stitch or whatever this is. So I am going to do this, and if you are doing this on your first, square, you won't have the other side to connect to yet. You're just gonna knit from this point on until it makes a square like completely normal. It's, just like you didn't end or do anything different. There is absolutely no difference. But if you do have another square, which I'll show you when I get to the end of this, if you do have another square on it, that's a little bit more challenging, but it's not once you figure out what to do. So I will show you that in just a second. Let me get to the end of this row. Okay, I made it to the end. I haven't done the very last stitch because of the loose tail, but just pull it tight because you can see it'll come loose. Just pull it tight, or as tight as you can to get your needle in without being ridiculous. And then just knit it like normal and pull it off and then pull it tight again. Again, that's the only time you're gonna have to do it because it'll hold, and if it does come loose, when you tie onto this and do your next, square that attaches to it, it'll be perfectly tight. I've done this already on one of these, I don't know which one, and it was perfectly fine, so don't worry too much about it. It'll just, be there. But I am now at, if I unfold it, you can see, I'm at the other part where I'm gonna have to attach to. And this one, it is very easy because I don't know what to do if you're at the bottom of your knit square. I've only, luckily, done this at the top so far. So you can see each line here, each little, like, I don't know, heart-shaped thingy, I guess, is what they look most like, is what you're going to go into. But make sure you only go into it when it's on the back. So when you turn your project around, don't do it on the side that you just knit, the one heading towards it. Go into it on the way going away from it back to the edge. So that way the seam will be, on the inside again. What you're gonna do when you get to this point is put your needle through your stitch, the first one, like normal, and pick this up. It'll get easier as you get going through it because it'll, be held on by more. Put it through the first of the stitches, and then I have to put this on my lap because it's pulling it loose, so I'm sorry if I have to be a little bit further away. And then slip it through and then knit that stitch like it's just one. Like that. So now it's on the inside of that one stitch and it's attached. Again, I know it's weird and a little bit funky, and again, pull this tight. But once you get going, it will look good. Trust me, it doesn't look too terrible, at least in my opinion. And then just knit the rest of the row like normal. I'll show you that again when I get back to it, because that was probably not very well understood. So yeah, I'll show you again in a second. Let me just knit to the end. Made it back across. You can see how it's starting to look. I really like how this stuff looks. It looks so cool going like this. So again, you put your needle through the first stitch like you're gonna knit it, and then you find the next stitch, which is right where, in between my two nails, right there. I know it's really, really hard to see because everything is white, but it's right in there, trust me. So you put your yarn or your needle through the yarn thing, and then you take your yarn blanket corner thing and put it, both of them please, there we go, put it through like that. So you have the little loop, and then you knit, wrap your yarn around your needle like normal, pull it over, and then pull the other blanket edge through as well, and it's connected. And then you slide the knit stitch off, obviously, because otherwise it's going to be stuck. And then you just knit again to the other row, and you keep doing that. I know, I really hope that this is making sense, because it is easy once you get the hang of it, and once you get going on it, it's just kind of a pain to figure out how to do it. So I'm going to do another one, and then I'll show you one more of that other end, just to try and make it as clear as I possibly can. Back at the other end, and I'm going to be taking these 2 stitches in between my nails right here, that little shape thingy, that one right there, you can see it good there. In between my needle, and again, once you get some practice at this, it will become easier and less, you know, confusing, I think is the word I'm going for. And just wrap it around, pull your yarn over, and pull the little thingy over, and it's knit on. And now just knit the row again until you reach the end, and you just keep doing that step over and over again until you reach the edge of the other square, until they line up, and you have enough rows on. Just, you know, normal. If you're not doing that edge thing, if you're not connecting technically 2 squares to the one that you're working on, you ignore that part and you have the easy one right now. But once you get to that point, hopefully that this was somewhat understandable for you, and you were able to figure out, like, at least some guidelines to follow and an idea to get you to figure it out. But yeah, that's how it is so far. I'm gonna get to the edge of this row and show you how it looks connected. Okay, so that's how it's looking so far. With it attached, that's the front, not the seamed side, and then this is the seam side. It's, again, see how it like pulled out and stretched out? That's it from the side. You can see it's barely lifted off, but like it is there, it's still a bump. But that's the back of it, and then the front's completely smooth. I mean, like, you don't even know there's a seam on it. And then this is the side that I'm attaching to. The little yellow one is the one that we're going on to, and it's so far going well. Here's the seam for that right there. There's the seam for that. Again, it looks a little bit funky, but not really, considering what's being done. And then there's the back right there. Hopefully that's in frame, because I can't see through the blanket, but hopefully you can see that. But that's the back of the edge that's connecting to. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you and you're able to figure out at least a little bit. I will be back. It'll be in the same video, obviously, so a couple seconds. All right, so it's only been a couple days actually, which is crazy for me. But I wasn't paying attention, and I did the seam on the wrong side, so that's annoying. But because I did that, I figured on the very last row I'll show you what I've been doing, because this is also an option to do. Now this is how it looks once I can get it flipped around for you. That's how it looks. The seam is on the wrong side, which is really annoying, and I noticed way too late. That's how it's supposed to look like. That's the, you know, back. So, really annoying, but oh well, nothing I can do about it now. But how I've been doing that is I only have one more stitch left on the hook and one more thingy to go into. But just like you've been doing the whole, if you were doing it the other way, you find the little, like heart-shaped thingy and stick your needle in that. And then put your needle through the other stitch like you're gonna knit normally, and also through the little heart-shaped thingy from the other square, and then just knit it over and then pull it off, and then that's how you do that that way. Hopefully that made sense. But yeah, I've been doing that, and oops. You can tell if you look really close, at least I can. Right. I was doing it good here, and then I forgot, and then I did it again good because I remembered, and then I forgot, and then I remembered, and then I completely just gave up and just did it the other way because I completely forgot. So yeah, that's what happens on the back if you do it that way, but preferably you should do that, you know, if it's gonna be on the back side, Or if the seam thing doesn't bother you that much, you can do it this way. Or if you mess up and do it like I did, you're just gonna have to live with it, which is fine. Again, it's perfectly fine. It's not a big deal. It's just kind of irritating because I was doing so well with keeping the seam on the same side for all of these. But now that you're on to your last row, I wanted to show you. I know you probably know how to cast off already, but just in case, you do it the same way as you would normal casting off on knitting projects. You just take 2 and then pull the one further along down the needle, up and over. And then take another one, stick it on, take the further one down, and pull it over. And then you do that all the way across. Again, it's just like finishing a normal project. So this one is very easy, and then you're gonna end at the other one. And I will be right back after I complete this, and then I'll show you how it looks. Made it to the last one, and I think I did. I actually remembered my scissors. I even brought over my special ones. And now I just cut the yarn. You do the same, obviously, cut your yarn. And unlike all of the other like knit projects, when you finish it, you're gonna want to like knot this a few times and then weave it in. You leave it out so you can connect the next, you know, thing to it, which will be going down this way for me. So I'll connect to that and go down. Using it so that way, you know, you don't have to deal with weaving it in every time and having a bunch of ends. At least that's what I do. So I'm not gonna double knot it. It's just kind of looped around and then pushed through once. So it's not super knotted. But this is, sadly, this is the back. The nice smooth edge is the back, and there's the other seams. I'll show you what to do with this in a minute. This was the tail that you started with. And then this is, again, sadly the front, where I have a lovely seam going, and it's kind of irritating me. But once I get more on, it won't. But right now, it's irritating me. Everything I make, nothing I make has ever been 100% perfect, so I guess this is the spot where it's not. But yeah, it's still annoying. But there's the front. That's what the back would look like if you did it the way I showed you in the beginning, before I forgot. That's how it would look on the other side. But yeah, this is it. You can see how smooth that end is where you first connected to. If you don't have this in the center here, you're not going to do anything with it. You're just going to leave it and again connect to it on your next whatever color. If you need to, you're going to connect to this. But if it is in the center of 4 squares like it is for me, I'm not going to be able to connect to it. So I'm just going to weave it in to this color somewhere around here. Again, I know I'm not the best at weaving in things, but you take it on an embroidery needle. I'll just go grab one for you and kind of show you it. I got my embroidery needle, so you need one of these. They're just plastic. I think they're called like tapestry needles or embroidery needles. I'm not sure which is the right name. But that's what you use, and then you take, I don't know if I'm gonna be able, there you go. You take it and put your yarn through it like a normal needle, like when you're sewing, and then take it and just kind of go in and out of the knit. It's very hard to show doing it this way. Can't see what I'm doing. But you just kind of go in and out of the knit stitch until it's used up. I have said this before, but I'm paranoid about these coming loose. So every few little like weaves, I'll go in again and kind of like make a little loop knot thing. So that way it won't come completely out. I know it probably will eventually because again, I'm not good at this, but this is the only way I know how to do it. So this is what I do. I'm gonna weave this in the rest of the way. I hope you were able to see any of that. Hopefully at least my words were understandable for you. But I'm gonna weave this in the rest of the little bit away, and then I will be right back. You can see right here, I went like right right along here, and I just follow the thingy, the knit stitches up and down as they go. Again, I know I'm not the best at it. There's probably a better way of doing it. I'm sure that's probably not the right way, but that's the only way that I know how, so that's what I do, and it seems to hold pretty good. Sometimes it comes loose, but then, you know, you just cut the end. At that point, the knit project isn't gonna come apart. But you take your little thingy now and cut it as close as you can to the edge. Pull it tight. And then it disappeared forever. No more thing. Now that's how this thingy is done. Hopefully you were able to understand at least a little bit of it. I'll back up so you can see. This is what I have so far, and it's honestly getting a lot bigger than I thought it would be, and it's really pretty. It looks like spring, so I like it a lot. And it's so soft. It feels like it's gonna be like one of the most cuddly things ever. So I hope it turns out well, and I hope I'm able to continue on with it well and not make too many more mistakes. But yeah, I hope this little guy, I hope it was helpful for you, and you at least were able to figure out the guidelines or an idea on how to get you going on it. It really is easy once you figure out what to do, the basics of it. Anyway, I hope you have fun with your blanket, and I hope you enjoy making it, and thank you so much for watching. You really don't know how much it means, so yeah, thank you, truly. It means a ton. And yeah, have fun making your blanket. I'll see you next time. Bye!